Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's Talk Real Estate, a podcast exclusively for the Real Estate Academy. Today, we're joined by Coach Sandra, and Sandra is an award-winning realtor and has been for over 21 years. A successful business and real estate coach, Sandra's going to talk with us today about prospecting for success. So let's join in on that call.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, Michelle.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for taking some time to be on this podcast call with us.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is quite exciting to be here.
Wonderful. My pleasure. Well, Sandra, before we begin with our prospecting to success conversation, maybe you can share with our listeners a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Absolutely. Well, I call myself Coach Sandra. Of course, my name is Sandra Peretta, but I call myself Coach Sandra. I've been in the industry 21 years now. I'm like a little bit uneasy about that and can't pretend to be young anymore. I can't. My kids give it away, the years that I've been working here. And I've actually been with Royal LePage Community Realty 18 years. Can you imagine?
Wow. Well, you started when you were 8, Sandra. So
I did. 8.5, Michelle. Yeah, I got to be honest.
That's so great. And so you've been with Royal LePage Community Realty for 18 of those years, and you've been doing. Did you always sell, or was that sort of how your entryway was?
I did. I started as a full-time salesperson, and I was quite successful. On average, I did anywhere between 25 to 33 deals a year.
Wonderful. And so you're going to share with us a bit of those secrets today.
Exactly. Well, what's interesting is today I believe we're talking about prospecting, and that's exactly how I did it.
That's awesome. And so now your current role has changed from a full-time salesperson. And tell us a little bit about what you do right now.
Well, right now I'm enjoying coaching our realtors. And I've been doing that I think I've been coaching, my goodness, if I look back, it's been since 2004 that I've been coaching agents. Wow. And I've had the pleasure of working for some of our big, Richard Robbins, he's a big guru out there. I had the pleasure of coaching agents all over North America. And I'm also the Feeney mentor, and I trained under Mike Ferry. So I'm very happy to have that experience because I take the best of all three of those guys and I bring it to our agents.
Absolutely. That's wonderful. And so do you just coach individual agents, brand new agents, or do you expand your services to everybody in the industry?
Everyone in the industry. And of course, I'm exclusive only to our agents.
That's true. Yes, and we're very, very happy to be able to have that exclusivity with you. And you do bring to the table, like you said, a number of different resources and a knowledge base because you have trained under a few of the top leaders in terms of coaching and real estate success. Yes. So that's amazing.
Yes, I've had the good fortune to have that kind of experience. And of course, I know a lot of the agents ask me, I do still sell and I am still licensed and I do still get on the phones and I do still actively prospect. I enjoy being able to truly understand what it is that our agents are feeling rather than coach them from, my glory days. I get to, experience firsthand what they're feeling, what they're experiencing because, the industry has changed over the years.
Absolutely it has. And because you're on the field, you bring that up to the minute, what's currently happening in the industry and being able to successfully help them through their challenges.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So you brought up prospecting, and since that is our topic for today, what could you share with our listeners? So we have, brand new realtors. We have realtors that have been in the industry for, 5 to 10 years, and those that have been in the industry since, its inception of organized real estate in Toronto. What tips or what, knowledge sets can you provide to them that would help them understand what they need to do to build a successful business?
Well, the key is lead generation, right? It's the number of contacts that we make and creating a system around that so that what we're doing is structured and systematic because this industry has no structure and we usually are flying by the seat of our pants because that's the demand of this industry and that's why we enjoy this industry. Lead generation. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new agent, doesn't matter if you're a seasoned agent, doesn't matter how many years you've been in the industry. And if you are a seasoned agent and you've stopped, for instance, you've stopped prospecting and maybe you just followed, whatever leads that you had, and then you're looking at your business and you're going, boy, where am I going to get more business? You got to start all over again. You got to build that momentum again. So it doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you're seasoned. Lead generation is key, and creating a structure and a system around it guarantees your success.
So it's interesting you talk about structure, because what entices people or attracts people to the real estate industry is they don't have that 9 to 5 schedule, and they don't have to be accountable to anybody. Can you share a little bit about around how that plays into how to build a successful business?
Well, the key to starting any type of system is to have a plan for the week, and I call it, of course, an ideal day or an ideal week. This is basically your boss. If we were working somewhere else, if we were working for, I don't know, I always use the example of Tim Hortons. If we were working for Tim Hortons, we would respect the schedule that our manager has set out for us. And we, as realtors, don't necessarily do that. We're our own boss. That's the tough part. We are not only, president and CEO of our own companies, but we're also the employees. And sometimes there's, with that flexibility comes a good sense of, responsibility. So we must respect the goals and the time that we've scheduled for ourselves. I mean, you can't go into work and say, or actually call your manager and say, geez, you know what, I know I'm supposed to be in at 10 o'clock today, but I don't feel like it. I kind of had a late night. I'll come in at 3 o'clock instead. And if you do that, how long do you last at your quote-unquote job? And that's one of the challenges that I find realtors have is they're working for themselves. They're setting these schedules. Now they have to follow them. So to me, that's step one in creating a system for lead generation, is to set a schedule and respect it.
Great advice. And of course, I know you and I both have heard many excuses.
Oh, I call them logical excuses. We get some good ones.
Yeah, exactly. My cat was sick. That was always one of my favorites.
We get some good ones.
and they're all logical and valid. But
Absolutely.
Like you said, we do play both the CEO and the employee role, and sometimes we lose sight of that. And so, getting back to that schedule and structure is important.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. And that's where, creating a bit of a system does help. So step one would be having, a schedule for the week or for the day. And the other thing is you have to create a system that enables you to generate new leads, or new contacts, as well as maintain the current contacts that you're working with, and also maintain or revive old contacts that you have. And let me quantify what I mean by old. I don't mean that people my age. I mean contacts that are either sitting on your database or center of influence, or perhaps someone that you spoke to last fall and said, oh, yeah, I'm thinking about making a move, and I'm thinking about doing it this spring. So these are what I call old contacts. And what I encourage the agents to do is to go through first their current contacts and count that, track those numbers. Then secondly, to hit up these old contacts, and then to go hunting for new leads.
So in terms of new leads, because, we hope that our listeners and the realtors that are in the industry understand and appreciate that really the foundation of their business is their database. Indeed, and the people that they know, whether that's, friends and family or past clients. But when you talk about new business, maybe you can just give a few, tips or ideas around what exactly does that look like? So if I'm a new realtor coming in, and this might make more sense for seasoned realtors, but I'm a new realtor coming in, what sort of things should I be looking at to generate brand new business? That
is such a great question, and it's a question that I get a lot, and I'm so glad that you're asking that. We track numbers in this industry, and it's important. We talk about business plans and things like that, but for a brand new agent, a business plan means setting a goal of how many contacts per week and sticking to it. It's a simple business plan. If we are working, and I'm just going to say, depending on how many people you actually want to talk to, how many hours you want to work, and the number of, the amount of money that you want to make, I look at the number of contacts. So let's say it's 50 contacts, just for conversation's sake. So if we set a goal with a brand new agent and we say 50 contacts, the first thing that we do is we exhaust anybody on their database or center of influence or someone that they've spoken to that might be interested in making a move. We exhaust that first, and we track those numbers. So if I spoke to 5 of those people this week, I track that and I put that towards my 50 contacts. If perchance, would have it with a brand new agent, sometimes they have about 2 or 3 clients already, or people that are thinking about it. So just to make it simple, let's say we have 5 of those. We track those numbers as well. So now we have 5 of our old leads, 5 of our current leads, and that goes towards our 50. So now we are looking for 40 brand new leads. And so now we have to build that momentum, because eventually what happens is you do start working strictly from a database, and maybe very little, you'll need to be pulling very little from your new leads. But it's no different than driving a vehicle. Sometimes you got to press on that gas real hard. Sometimes you got to ease up on it. Sometimes you got to coast. Sometimes you put on the brakes. It's exactly like that. And that's how I manage the contacts with the agents, and that's how I encourage them to manage their own contacts. So with a brand new agent, when you don't have any new any contacts at all, you have to go out there and you got to meet people. You got to get face to face. This industry, even though there's a whole lot of technology, social media is wonderful, lead generation via web leads is fantastic too. At the end of the day, this business is human to human, and we have to get out there and we have to meet people. So for a brand new agent, it means that they will be looking at new contacts versus perhaps database or their center of influence.
Right. Great points. And, it's interesting, too, because you look at the prevalence of those realtors that want to engage in online leads. And I always argue, it is valuable and it does give you the numbers, but your role as a realtor is different. You spend a lot of time pre-qualifying.
You're so right.
It's really about the quality of the lead. And I think, for those listeners out there that are engaging or thinking about engaging in online leads, it's definitely here. This is what people are doing. Buyers are online.
Exactly.
I believe the latest stat was 92% of buyers are online looking. But understanding and appreciating there's a bit of an incubation period, because
Indeed.
Now it's not 1, 2, 3 contacts that you try to reach out to them, and if they don't respond, you give up. It's actually closer to 12. And so a lot of the realtors are spending tons of money on online leads and not realizing that they haven't reached out enough in terms of their drip campaigns, and they quit far before the 12 occurrences come up.
And understandably so, because it can feel discouraging when you have that kind of incubation period.
Yeah.
We talk in terms of active prospecting versus passive prospecting, and whether we like it or not, that falls a little bit into the passive prospecting category, where you're doing some actions and you're waiting for a reply. Active prospecting is where we go out and we go looking for the business. So we're a little more in control of the number of people that we're chatting with, the amount of contacts that we're making. And here's the big thing that people are forgetting is we need to close. And I know some people think, oh my goodness, is it manipulating, closing on, telling people what to do, and I'm not that kind of person, or it's rude, or I hear all kinds of things. Well, the thing is, though, when it comes to sales, we only do well financially if we close the deal. And so closing is an incredible skill that we have pretty much forgotten because of the way the market has unfolded these past few years. And closing is not manipulating. Closing is supporting, giving people information so that they can make proper decisions for themselves, for their families, and it's assisting people in making a decision. I think to our listeners out there, if they stop and think about a decision that they just had to make, whether it be buying a dress or buying a vehicle or anything else, they've always asked someone for advice. What do you think I should do? Which means we as human beings actually need assistance in making decisions. And our job as realtors is to take that leadership role and close and assist people to help them make decisions that are sound for their families.
Well, I'm so glad you brought that up, actually, because truly, what is the realtor's value? I mean, there's a lot of discussion and debate out there about what is the true value of a realtor. And if we cannot bring ourselves to feel confident and learn the skills to properly close, or as you say, assist and advise and help people organize their thoughts, then what really is our value? They can turn to apps that will give them a general CMA, on a property. There's so many things out there that are trying to replace a realtor, and we've got to remember that our true value is working with people and helping the people.
You got it. The negotiating, the closing, the information. And, there's a lot of misinformation out there in the media right now, and it tends to be negative, which frightens a lot of our realtors.
In the media? Negative, Sandra?
Never. I know.
Never.
It's not sensational if it's positive.
Of course.
And this causes a lot of our agents to freeze instead of recognizing, my goodness, the public needs us now more than ever.
Absolutely, they do. So you've touched upon, setting a schedule, understanding our role in our business in terms of being a CEO and an employee, working our database and approaching it from a systematic point of view, and consistency was somewhere in there as well in terms of being able to set those targets and then identifying what are our targets in terms of contacts and appointments and how all of that moves into a business plan, but consistency in terms of getting out there and doing the action that needs to be done.
Indeed. Agreed.
Wonderful. Well, Sandra, thank you so much for taking the time today. And I know you just recently wrote a blog about rapport, and I believe there's another one going to be coming out shortly on closing and negotiating. And so I'll make sure that we drive our listeners over to our website and directly to our blog, which is reacademy.blog. And there you'll find some useful information. And, of course, the ones that you've written, Sandra, are on there as well. And so we thank you so much again for taking the time to chat with us. And how can our listeners reach you if they are interested in coaching?
If they're interested in coaching, they can reach me at coachsandra@gmail.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sandra, and I hope you enjoyed today.
Thank you. Likewise to you, Michelle, and to our listeners out there.
Thanks. Take care.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.